guys hear me? Hi, Leo. Yeah, so I might be having someone on the live stream if I hear back from him. But other than that, it's just ask away. Ask any questions you want to hear. I recorded a video earlier for like a meal kind of like an easy meal that you can put together. I need to upload that within, well, tomorrow preferably. I'll have to. But yeah. You just see a photo but no sound or video, is that right? Did you have problems with your lymph nodes when you were ill? Funny you should say that, actually. I had swollen lymph glands under my armpits and in my neck. So that was pretty much the majority of when I was ill, especially behind the ears. My lymph nodes were risen. So yeah, I did. They just went away with time. What did I do? I put some of it down to, for example, the lymph nodes I had in my armpits. I put it down to all the years I'd sprayed all kinds of chemical laden shit under my armpits and just let it sit there. So what I did is every time I had my detox baths, I would just slather on calcium bentonite clay to try and draw out whatever possibly is in there. And my lymph nodes went down after a few months. So whether it was part of my recovery, my like detoxing from my diet, or who knows, but I know that they went away. But I did have problems with my lymph glands. You only see a photo. Did they hurt or did they got worse after exercise? I think yeah, that's true. I guess it is a good sign that your body's actually doing something. If they hurt, I don't know. Like I don't remember them hurting that much. Maybe a bit if I pushed it, maybe, but no, I wouldn't say that. You might want to have a look into that, make sure it's nothing else. Hey mate, I have Lyme and others. How long did your brain fog take to go? I don't know. See, this is the thing. When I was recovering, I didn't plan to recover. Like I wanted to recover, I didn't plan on it, so I never noted down when certain symptoms went. But the brain fog, it's different for everyone. So if I say something, you might, if I say 3 months or 6 months, you might get to that and not have your brain fog fully gone and believe that you're not doing it right. So it's best not to try and judge your recovery off anyone else's. Just take advice that you can use in your own protocol, because it's very different for I say different for everyone, but there are things that help everyone. I accidentally had gluten last week. Did you find that if you had, yes, gluten messed me up. Still gives me joint pain if I have it now. Right. Um, they checked them up, but they found nothing, luckily, and it already got better now after one. Okay, that's good. It's always important to check that it's nothing serious like cancer before you listen to any alternative advice, for sure. Mm. For me, brain fog took a few years to get better. Cutting out gluten and dairy was what helped mine. Everyone's different though. Yeah, everyone is different. Those are the two main foods that when I was recovering and I was looking for like advice or inspiration, not one person I watched ate dairy or gluten. Every single one of them took it out. Do you believe you have to cut out meat? Okay, so for me personally, I cut out meat. I went through a phase of eating meat, and it didn't sit right with me for ethical reasons and what I was learning about the environment and everything like that. But I never tell people cut out meat because there are certain people that say they feel awful when they cut out meat. Now, there are reasons for this. For example, if you've eaten meat your whole life, your body's got used to not producing carnitine, is one example, where you go cold turkey off meat, your body's like, whoa, we haven't had to make carnitine for you, like since you were born. Uh, and that may make you feel like shit. But I don't like to give out blanket statements like that. I believe you need meat to recover though? No, absolutely not. I watched a video on making water kefir. Do you use sugar when you make yours? Yeah. And the longer you leave it to ferment, the more sugar gets eaten up and left. So when I taste my kefir now, which I need to make a video and I will do, um, there is no sweetness there. It's a like a vinegar almost smell. Were you vegetarian before recovery? Yes, I was vegetarian before recovery, and a brief stint of eating meat and fish. Yeah, on the meat question, there's a lot of reasons why you may feel bad after cutting out meat. Could be calories. It's very calorie dense. If you're not sure what you're eating, you're like, right, I'm going vegan. I'm not eating meat and dairy, and you've been eating that your whole life. You go, right, what can I eat? You're going to be most likely eating very few calories. Then you also have, for example, dairy is filled with casomorphines. You might get a bit of a withdrawal from that. You could have the carnitine thing I just spoke about. Um, Obviously, there are doctors out there that talk about it better than I do, but yeah, there's lots of reasons. It's not because you need the meat necessarily. It's something else. I'm vegan 6 months now. I hate how people question it in every way. Uh, yeah, people get very defensive when it comes to being vegan, and I mean, I guess it's just because you're questioning how they've lived their whole lives most likely. You know, when I first heard about vegan, I thought it was extreme. I was quite happy being a vegetarian, not for my health, but I was quite happy being vegetarian. But it wasn't doing me any good. How long do you let your kefir ferment? Depends. Like for example, On Tuesday night, I accidentally tipped a bit too much sugar in, so I'll leave it to ferment like 5, 6 days. Last time I left it over a week, and it was very tart, but there was no sugar in there really that you could taste at least. Very minimal amounts if you leave it that long, but it's good for the probiotics. I see. I never tell. You may notice I never tell people like. I do agree you shouldn't eat junk, you shouldn't eat refined sugars and stuff. But when it comes to like keef, you use sugar, and there may be small amounts of sugar in there after you fermented it. And I believe that the benefits of kefir outweigh that sugar. And if it's not something you're consuming every day, like sugar and stuff, I don't think it now and again is going to harm you. Like gluten. Gluten really harmed me. How long were you bedbound? It was stints where I was bedbound. I mean, I never had energy to really leave the house, or getting upstairs was effort. But in terms of being stuck in bed, it was never a constant thing for me. It was never like I was bedbound for like a month. It was always bedbound for like 3, 4 days if I was recovering from whatever overexertion in any small way, because I was so sensitive to any form of like exercise. I remember when I walked to my grandma's, it was like 3 minute walk, 4 minute walk, a bit less, something like that. I just felt shattered, and it took me like a good 4 days to recover from that. So I was never bedbound to the point where I was in bed months. How do you know when you can manage certain activities like walking 10 minutes? Did you wait until you had zero pain or exhaustion before even trying? Yeah, waited 100%. That's your body saying don't do anything. Did you do any water fasting or juice fasting? Interesting. I actually did do a 7-day water fast at one point, and I don't know whether it did me any good. It's probably a bit too drastic. I think I don't believe you need water fasting to recover from what I recover from anyway. Juice fasting, I was always skeptical, but I believe juice fasting can have its place. Like Joe Cross, the fat, sick, and nearly dead. I think that's a testament to that it does have its place. I've lost 1 stone with meat, so that's why I asked, was it a must to cut out as I'm struggling with weight? Yeah, you need to basically when you're eating mostly plant based, you need to up your fats if you're losing weight like that. And how long did it take you to lose 1 stone? Because I want to walk like being outside, but I'm still in pain. I used to just sit outside at night and during the day, not walk, but out in the back garden. I get bouts of 4 weeks. Yeah, you need to really examine why that's happening, and you really listen to your body. I wouldn't if you're that exhausted. I've felt that, um, and because I was on my own for a lot of my recovery, I had no choice but to make sure I cooked for myself. I did a detox once, and my CVS got 10 times worse. It was too much for my body to cope with. Your body was probably too toxic to do a straight up water fast. I agree. I was gonna invite somebody on to talk. Uh, Do you remember how long after of eating good and sleeping well until the pain and exhaustion went away for a bit? Did you feel worse before it got better? Sometimes I felt like I took a step back. And I think maybe that's because for example, I'd have too much kefir for the first time, and then I got a fever, or things like that, and that would be a setback. And I think it's because I didn't slowly introduce things. But you can sometimes feel like you've taken a step back before it gets better. And sometimes you need a step back to realize that you've made progress. But how long do I remember it took? Before I was pain free and exhaustion went away, that was probably when I started to walk, and that wasn't till really later on in my recovery, 8, 10 months, something like that. Just walking to the loo and back. Can't wait to be able to prepare my own food. Ah, feel for you. And the thing is when you're in that state, you really need to make sure you're not eating absolute shit because it's only making the problem worse. You know, it's very easy to eat absolute shit just because it's convenient when you're in that state, but it's just making the problem worse. I'm suffering from worse symptoms since eating a small amount of gluten a week ago. How long do you think it takes to leave body? I would say about 2 weeks. Sometimes less. If you take loads of probiotics and eat extremely clean, maybe less. But yeah, about 2 weeks. I did one. I did one that still has food, but it was still too much. Kathy, for me, it takes up to 2 weeks to feel better if I have gluten, same as me. It took me 2 months to lose a stone. Oh, that's okay. It's like, are you underweight now or overweight? Like, were you overweight to start with? Really depends. If you're underweight, then you need to look at your calories and getting more fat into your diet. I read somewhere that gluten takes 21 days to fully get out of your system. I found this to be true. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. That is how I feel now. Been eating well, but sometimes I feel worse at the moment. Yeah, sometimes you can feel that. And there's other factors. It's not always to do with your diet. It could be sleep, uh, many things. Did you eat organic as much as I could? Mainly focused on getting organic for my greens and stuff like asparagus and um, broccoli and stuff like that. But like for example, now I just bought oats. They're not organic because, for example, 5 kilograms of oats, if it's gluten-free oats, it's going to be £15 it costs me for 5 kilograms. Or if I want organic, it's going to cost me 30, 40 quid. So I just went for the non-organic ones. Did you tolerate alcohol when you were no? What about now? I can tolerate alcohol. I had it on holiday. It's not the best if you want to thrive at health, though. But now and again, like if I'm on holiday and there's a cocktail, I'm not going to say no sometimes. How did you keep positive and cheerful? I'm so used to just distracting myself with TV. Uh, don't don't focus on being positive and cheerful. Focus on how you're feeling right now. Don't dwell on them, but realize that the reason you are going to be depressed. Look at your life. You can't do what you want to do. It's normal to be depressed. Don't try and force being positive on yourself. But understand there are some things to be like uh like thankful for. Most people, you know, if you're here on this computer, you're doing better than a lot of people living on this planet right now. Let me see. Thanks, I'm dairy intolerant since this illness. I eat gluten free and trying hard to be sugar free. My family cook healthy meals, but not meat free and not organic. Um, you know, when it comes to pain, there's so many people that I used to watch that gave up meat and felt a significant decrease in their pain. So you may want to look into that. You know, I know you can't, like when you're in that position, you kind of have to accept what you get, but you can, you know, your family must sympathize with you if you're that ill. Maybe try something different. Depends. How long have you been eating that way? If it's only a few months, then keep at it. If you're new to gluten free, keep at it. Wait for a while. But if this is something you've been doing year after year and it's not working, maybe you need to reassess what it is you are doing. Me too. Medication helps for me. Depends what medication. Like if it's something like Xanax, I strongly like suggest you don't go anywhere near things like that. It will make the problem worse in the long run. Every single person I spoke to on Xanax is just absolute hell for them. Did you ever never socialize? No, not really. Only over the computer. And personally, that's what worked for me. Whenever I spoke with anyone, I always felt drained. Always made me, always constantly questioning like what I was doing or how I was, or if I was really like as ill as I was saying I was. Like, I'm struggling to get up the stairs. What don't you understand? But because just because I haven't got cancer doesn't mean that it isn't destroying my life. I'm 16 and I'm so scared of taking a year off school, but I'm breaking point. I have lots of friends and don't know how to disconnect myself from that. This is something you're going to have to figure out yourself, because I just disconnected myself. I put myself first. At the end of the day, you have to be very selfish when you're recovering. And that's why I always feel sorry for people that are parents, because you can't do that, and I can't give you advice. But every opportunity you get, you should put yourself first to get over this, then sort your life out. 16, you're very lucky that you're actually doing this now. I'm just going to say that, because I got over this at 25, and that's not a good position to be in. It's much better to be 16 and dealing with this. And back when I was 18 and I was ill, I was like, you know what? I'm 18. I've got my whole life ahead of me. I'll just see if this plans out. I'll eat healthier, because I stopped drinking Coke, and I started eating homemade meals, gluten, dairy, everything else. But I was like, you know what? I'll try that. And because it didn't work, I was like, maybe I'll just give my time rest. And just year after year, it kept going. So I suggest you really sort it out now. What is your view on mock meats like tofurkey? I think it's all shit, personally. There's nothing healthy about that. That's my honest advice. Hey, I was there with the stairs thing. Oh, don't miss it. Looking at my grandma getting up the stairs better than me, that's depressing. Did you turn off your Wi-Fi at night? Yes, I actually did start to do that. I don't think I've ever mentioned that. I actually did start to do that. I did everything. I literally did everything. I turned all the electrics off at night. Before bed, when I was unwinding, I used to turn off Wi-Fi, my phone. Even though I do that now, but I didn't actually have a phone back then. But you know what I mean. I turned off electricity. Thank you. Dairy-free and gluten-free for nearly a year. Been ill nearly 2 years. Was moderate. Been severe since February this year. Though I'm thankfully do not have pain. Sheer fatigue. Horrid or orthostatic. Orthostatic. Your videos were extremely helpful and still are. Thanks, Honeybee. Sheer fatigue. Well, if it's sheer fatigue, what time are you going to bed? Are you on technology at night? Are you looking at energy before night? So I was reading someone else's thing. Are you looking at screens and stuff before you go to bed? What time are you going to bed? Do you look at screens all day? Do you play games during the day? These are things you have to look at. You have to look at everything. I've been told to cut down on EMF. I don't think it doesn't hurt you to turn off your Wi-Fi and stuff at night. That's how I looked at it. Some people may say it's quackery, but to be honest, we don't know the effects of this stuff yet. So do all you can. Mindfulness meditation is great for coping with illness. You could try Headspace app. There is also a book called Mindfulness for Health. It helped me a lot. If that's what people want to try out, go for it. You've got nothing to lose. Cheers, Emma. Did you have sciatica when you started walking again? No, I didn't have sciatica. Hi, Danny.
Hey, what's up?
Hi. I'm glad you got on. Is echoing?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any headphones or anything like?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. How's that?
Yeah, that's much better.
Sweet.
Right. How you doing, Danny?
Yeah, I'm alright, man.
Do you want to read what you were saying earlier when you messaged today?
I can't remember.
Pretty much is that you didn't have the willpower to start the protocol properly, and you basically come to your wits end, and your health is number one now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I spoke to you like probably nearly a year ago now.
Yeah.
And
Huh?
yeah. Yeah, right. And then I moved house in the hopes of finding a place to recover.
Yeah.
And it turned out the new house was like a really bad move because the neighbour was just a nightmare. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah, always banging around, like domestic arguments all the time.
I can't think of anything worse.
It was horrific. Big loud dog, and you know, this was a purchase as well. It wasn't renting, so it was a very stressful time.
Yeah.
So as soon as I recognised that was the case, I was like, well, I'm going to have to put it on hold for a while because I can't make any progress here. So it turned out to be a blessing actually, because then I moved to the city recently, and you know, like I spent three or so months now around my like friends and stuff. So it's nice to have that before I undertake this, you know, serious like health trip, which will mean I won't be able to do all the fun things anymore. So I'll probably like, it's August now, I'll probably wait till like mid-September and then yeah, like really knuckle down with it. But I'm planning it now. I'm starting the planning now.
And what have you planned so far?
Mainly the sleep and the meals.
Yeah.
For example, today, everything I ate, I looked at what the contents were, because I'm intolerant to like 9 things that are really hard to avoid. Not just gluten, it's like dairy, gluten, wheat, milk, beef, soya, and 2 or 3 other things. I've got a list, but today I successfully managed to avoid all of them, and it wasn't too hard, really. I am starving a bit, but you know.
Yeah, like with consistency and time, that's when you'll really start to see the changes. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll cut out all the things they're sensitive to or things they shouldn't be having, and they overnight they'll go, right, what's in my cupboard that I can eat, and there's not much in, and then they have their calories drop down, and they might feel worse initially, and they'll blame it on the fact that it's nothing to do with diet, and people get in this like circle. But when it comes to like starving and stuff, I think that the more time you give it and the more research you do, you'll find foods that satiate you and you'll fill up on them.
Yes.
That's what I had to do.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The added difficulty for me is, of course, because I had colitis.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember this from last year, but
yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So I had my colon removed, which means that everything you eat, aside from the things I'm intolerant to, I have to think about like what that's going to do to my digestive system. So, like for example, somebody might say, "Well, I'll have bananas and whatever," and because of my disrupted sleep cycle, I think, well, if I had that, then I won't be able to sleep after that, because I just have to get up to use the bathroom. So it's yeah, it's pretty tricky. But I plan to like alter my meal times. So get up like really early, like 7 a.m., which for someone in chronic fatigue is really early. Yeah. And have like breakfast straight away. Then something at like 9 a.m. Then like something at 12 midday. Then a big meal at 3 p.m. And then it takes about 6 to 7 hours for the main digestion to occur, at least for me.
Yeah.
So then by 10 p.m. I will be hungry because I'm not eating for 7 hours, but my digestive system will calm down, and then I can try to get to sleep at the key times.
Yeah, I remember us talking about this actually. You know, if you don't wake up to go to the bathroom, do you sleep through the night?
That's the thing. Like, even if I didn't have that, I wouldn't sleep through either. At least I don't think. Well, it's hard to say, because if I could like have a big, not a big meal, but like a meal before bedtime with lots of carbs and stuff, I would guess that I would maybe, if I'm lucky, get 9 hours straight. Because I'm not able to do that, like my body will typically wake up after 5 to 7 hours, even if it's not to use the bathroom, because it's just so hungry. Because you know, as you know, when you get chronic fatigue, when you starve the body, it's a bad.
Yeah.
It sends you into fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly. I know that when I was in that like wide state, I would be eating every 2 or 3 hours or something like that, and it made me feel much more grounded. But I will say this is that I don't know how this applies to your situation, but I used to wake up during the night with probably like blood sugar problems or something. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but what helped me was having like a handful of like Brazil nuts before bed. I don't know how long it would take for you to digest Brazil nuts.
Yeah, Brazil nuts, that wouldn't be an option. That's what I've tried. I mean, that would play havoc within an hour or so.
An hour.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed though, and I don't know what you'll think to this, is certain fizzy pop, like certain ones, not 7-Up, like 7-Up is an example of one that's way too stimulating. But like Sprite, for example, if I have like a small glass of that, for some reason it calms down my fight or flight response. Don't know why, but like
maybe it's just the glucose, because you know, if you have the blood sugar drop or you're low on glucose, that can make you feel on edge. Like, and if you're giving your body an instant hit of glucose that's quickly absorbed into the body, maybe that's what's calming you down. I possibly wouldn't say that like soft drinks are the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
But again, you have all those intolerances and stuff, so it's very hard for me to know what to say to that. What kind of sugary things can you tolerate, as in like fruits and stuff? Like dates, maybe? Figs or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like depending on the time of day, I can have a lot more. So, if I had fruit at like, you know, midday to 5 o'clock, then I'll digest it in time for bed.
Yeah.
So I can have those. I just can't have them like any time after 3 to 5 p.m. Because it'll just prolong the digestive period. And as you know, fiber does like extra work. And then it becomes like a 10-hour thing. And then it's, you know, when you have your colon removed, you notice what all the foods do to your body. Everything has like 10 times the effect.
Yeah. See, because I haven't been in that situation, so I feel like I can just try and give you advice, but in that situation, I think you're gonna have to listen to your body. You know, when you say that the transition time, say you ate at 3 o'clock, what meal would last you until before bed?
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's pretty much, because of my severe like ME and stuff, there's pretty much no meal that will last up until then, and I will feel completely full.
Oh no, I mean like as in having to go to the toilet. Like, what meal would last inside you for 7 hours?
Oh, you mean the least disruptive to my digestive system?
Yeah.
That tends to be rice and chicken, or rice and lamb, or well, anything that's not beef really. Rice is really, really good, at least for me. And I've talked to other people with IBD as well.
Yeah.
And they say the same thing. The bad thing about that is it gets pretty boring quite fast.
Yeah.
So you have to try and introduce sauces and flavors and stuff that mean it's kind of edible, but it doesn't have any of the bad ingredients. But yeah, it's definitely the rice and basic meats, not fried stuff. Fried stuff is bad. Yeah. Unless it's fried like in a good way, you know, with like vegetable oil or something like that. But like,
I'd probably say, like, when it comes to frying, like, there's usually, from what I've learned, it's rarely anything good, like, oil wise. Like,
yeah,
the best thing is probably coconut oil, if anything. But even
yeah.
then, I'd probably say it's not the best. But what I was gonna suggest is, what would happen if you ate that kind of meal right before bed, or an hour before
Oh,
bed?
an hour before bed. Yeah, that's something.
Because I would, like, if that would last you, say, 6 or 7 hours during the periods of, and if you go to bed early, you're getting all the restful hours. I don't know if you've listened to Sean Stevenson yet, but he talks about how the importance of early nights, and sleep before 12 o'clock is much more much more efficient at recovering the body and everything. Maybe
Yeah,
if you went to bed early and had your meal before bed, that would give you that grounded feeling to sleep through the night, possibly.
yeah, yeah. That's something I've been experimenting with. It's really tricky, but I think the main thing for me is to adjust my sleep cycle first, like getting up early, big meal at three p.m., then like bed for 8 o'clock, and start winding down. Then
Yeah.
hopefully get to sleep for. I mean, it takes me a good 2 or 3 hours usually to get to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully get to sleep for 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So then, even if I had like a little snack before bed, like I don't know, 9 o'clock, say,
Yeah.
even if it woke me up after 4 hours, I've got the golden
Yeah. Yeah.
the golden 4 hours of like 9 to 1 a.m., which
Mhm.
is 1,000 times better than the typical what I do right now is usually like what, yeah,
One.
1 till 5.
Yeah, I used to do the same. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so hard to get out of that.
it really
It's,
is. I remember last time you were playing Doom. That probably.
yeah, that was a guilty pleasure. That was something I knew was going to absolutely destroy my adrenals,
Yeah, yeah.
and it did. However, I would say it was worth it as a one-off
Mm,
before you want to take this kind of thing.
yeah,
I mean, it's something I've been waiting for like 10 years. I
yeah.
don't play video games at all. That's
Mm,
the only one I really played.
mm.
But boy, oh boy, did that did that kill my adrenals? I mean, for like
Yeah,
3 months after that, I was like I just come out of a war zone.
yeah. It was,
Like,
for me, I used to play competitively as well, so it had the added stress of you have to win.
yeah,
My body would just be buzzing the whole time
yeah,
playing, and
yeah.
it was fast paced, competitive, worst kind of thing when your adrenals on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think another thing as well is people like they should take responsibility for their illness because
Mhm.
if I look back, I mean, this was probably my fault, you know. I mean, even since like 13 years old, I'd be playing games till
Mhm.
5 in the morning and going to
Yeah.
school secretly, of
Oh,
course.
like I used to be a gamer, but I never did that. Like the worst I'd be like on the computer until 11:30, and even I thought that was naughty. But
That
till
is
5 a.m. and then school, that's a new level.
yeah. I mean, that wasn't very often that I'd do that. It was usually like you like till about 11:30,
Yeah.
and that is late if you get up at 7 a.m. anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, sometimes like I would just I'd go to bed, pretend I was asleep. My parents would go to bed, then I'd get back up and play on the games. Because like if I played it when my mum and dad were at home,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't allow more than like an hour.
Yeah.
So they'd say, okay, that's enough. You've got to go outside now after an hour.
Which
But
it's so difficult for people growing up nowadays in this like with all the technology and everything, because there's just so many new factors that come into play that people aren't aware of that can actually have an impact on how you feel and your health and everything.
yeah, yeah, it's I kind of like some people are lucky in that they've got really good like self discipline.
Yeah.
Like my brother, for example, he wouldn't dream of staying up till 5 a.m. playing video games because he's just sensible. He's like, okay, it's time for bed now. I'm tired. I was never like that. I was always like a rebel, you know, always trying to do things that were fun, that weren't good for my body. So yeah, I started at like 13 years old, and compared to before I got sick, I was probably actually better, more well behaved then. And then when I got to, I don't know, 19, I think, and I went to university, and that's when things got pretty abysmal.
I can imagine.
I mean, constant late nights, always drinking, like drinking every other day heavily. Awful diet. And in a way, it's healthy because you're free, so you're not tense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, tension is the worst thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you've got all those bad energies going in your body constantly. So yeah, well, even then, even actually at uni, I was still somewhat well behaved. I'd usually try and get to bed by midnight if I wasn't going out. And then it's after I finished uni that I started to be like ridiculous. Like every night I'd be up till 5 a.m. Playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I was actually got pretty good at it, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, because you're putting in so many hours. And movies, like volatile relationships that were just so silly, you know. That I knew were bad for me, but I just liked the buzz of it. And yeah, and then I would be like playing games till 5 a.m. and then going to work the next day at like 8, working all day. Yeah, having a little nap for like an hour, still being exhausted, of course, but like to me the priority was fun.
Yeah.
And then playing again till like 1 a.m. whatever, and going to bed. And that went on for yeah, a good couple of years, and then that's when I got sick. That's finally when my body was like.
I'll tell you what, your body was resilient.
Yeah.
A lot more resilient than mine, but yeah.
Yeah, when I look back, it's like, you know, I try to help people now. I don't know if you get this, but you have people who are generally healthy, who work full time, they've got relationships, they've got kids. But they start to complain of things like, oh, my stomach's started to cramp, I get random nosebleeds, whatever. And you say, oh, what's your habits right now? And they're like, oh, well, I go to bed about 1. And I'm like, what? And I try to tell them that if you carry that on consistently, you will, without a doubt, end up with some kind of disease. But of course they don't listen, you know.
Yeah, no one listens. Like, the only people that listen are the people that have seeked out advice because they want to change.
Yeah.
When you bring the advice to someone, like I can be with someone in life that's just depressed or tired all the time, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Let's change it. They don't want to do anything that's going to require effort.
Yeah, and like
they have to hit rock bottom before they're willing to do anything.
Yeah, human nature is to just like dismiss something that's not critical. So I mean, like when you're a kid and your mum's like, okay, bedtime, no more video games, you just think like, what's the problem, you know, like just go away. And it's the same even for adults, like, and you try and tell them and they just dismiss it. And then it's not till they get serious symptoms like, oh, I get migraines every day, or oh, I get stomach cramps every day, that they finally start to listen to you. And by then, usually it's too late. Like,
yeah, there's for example, there's this kid I go to college with, and he suffers awful migraines to the point where he feels like he's going to throw up if he moves. And I'm like, I tried to tell him that possibly him drinking his four bottles of Dr. Pepper during school and going to bed really late and all these could possibly have an impact. And nah, he's not having any of that. So, you have to let people run their own course. So I just let it go now.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Dr. Peppers, that's abysmal. That's really bad. I mean, there's a lot of acid in that stuff. Yeah, a lot of caffeine too.
Like when I used to come home from school at 15, 16, or in school holidays, I used to have six, 7 Diet Cokes a day while gaming.
6 a day.
Yeah.
God damn.
And it was just the aspartame shit as well. So it's like personally worse than just the original stuff. But let's get back on track. Basically, you're gonna settle down now in the next month with your new routine, your new diet, and you're gonna experiment and really, basically, make it your job to recover now. Make it your job to do what's best for your body.
Right, yeah, because I basically moved. I won't digress too much, but I moved to the city, and as you know, with chronic fatigue, you will try to have a life. You will try to sustain somewhat of a life without doing all this like ridiculous, boring stuff, watching everything you eat. And I did try that, like because it's summer, I'm in the city centre, and there's a lot going on, and it just got so frustrating because every time I would make plans with friends or whatever, and I would have to cancel. To the point they were getting angry. They were like, "Look, dude, like, are you ever going to show up for these like, you know, things that we organise?" And it was literally like 2 days ago, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I can't. I've just had enough of either cancelling on people.
They'll never understand.
No, I've tried to tell them, but
they'll never understand until they felt it in their body.
Yeah. So it's like you either cancel on them. If you're really, really lucky, you do get some decent sleep and you show up and you feel somewhat okay. Yeah. And that's like one in a million.
And that's going to zap your energy that you did regain at all anyway.
Right.
It'd be like just plugging the iPhone in and going, 2%.
Yeah. Or the usual way is you show up, you're full of anxiety because you haven't slept well. You feel absolutely exhausted. You've got no personality, which makes you look pretty lame.
Yeah.
And you're not the life and soul of the party, and people are constantly asking you, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?"
It's not even worth it.
No, it's not. And I just decided, like, I've had enough. So, you know, it's going to be really hard. Like, I can't even imagine. But I do have that leverage now.
Yeah.
Of having tried to live the life, and my body just going, no.
Just keep in mind where you want to be a year today.
Yeah.
Look back and you go, whoa, like I've actually did that with my hard work. Like I've changed everything through pure hard work.
Yeah. And the stuff you did, you know, you've got a lot of videos, the stuff I did watch, I did apply it somewhat before I moved house to the bad house I told you about. And I did notice tiny improvements, like probably like even 1-2%. But when you've got real bad chronic fatigue, you do notice that. It might be like half an hour extra energy after your nap, after a nap or whatever. But it's I did start to notice, like, oh, actually, like when I played Doom, and I completely completed it and did all the stuff. After that, my body was completely destroyed. I figured, well, if I did the opposite of doing that and just like did everything that's calm and relaxing, surely it'd have the opposite effect. Surely after 3 months of that, I'd actually feel the benefit in the other way. Yeah.
This is what people have to realize. A lot of people wait for proof and things like that, but at the end of the day, you have to experiment with yourself and look at it just with common sense. Like everything you do in a day, would this really benefit me recovering? And you know, I used to tell myself it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you eat because I already eat healthier than most people, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then you really had to get objective and really strict with yourself, and you know you really do feel like when you look back at yourself a year ago and look at all the changes you did and the improvement is purely down to your hard work. It really is a confidence booster. It really makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I can imagine.
But with your situation, what we can agree on is that you need to keep away from those foods that you know are bad for you, for starters,
Mm.
and then it's about you, because I haven't got experience with it, but changing around your sleep and your diet to kind of get something that clicks with you and is most beneficial for you.
Yeah, and keeping a bit of variety in there so it doesn't get boring. Because if you go too far into that, what I know what will happen is I'll just be like, oh, screw this. This is just too hard. There's got to be some kind of reward in there, like even if it's like, you know, a tiny bit of variety with your rice. So.
Yeah. I used to my bit of my benefit was these things called Clive pies, and they were gluten-free vegan pies, and they had, I think they had a bit of sugar in and a oil and stuff like that, but that was my reward. I like needed just something that I thought was like tricked my brain into thinking this isn't 100% healthy.
Yeah,
But it was in my gut, it was in my strict guidelines of what I could eat still in somewhat of a way.
yeah,
So you have to kind of find what that is for you. And for
yeah,
me, it was like a bit of oil and a bit of sugar.
yeah,
It was better
yeah.
than a bit of dairy and a bit of gluten. That was for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I think another thing that would help as well is like not to compare yourself to normal people.
Oh yeah, you can't. That's what some people do, because I remember when I was 18, I was like, ditch all the diet cokes, only drink water, home cooked meals, didn't give up any gluten or dairy or anything, and used to cook for myself every day, um, or eat my mum's cooking most of the time as well, and that was healthier than any of my friends.
Yeah,
Like they didn't give a shit. They were
yeah,
getting bladdered, eating pizza, and I was like, well, I still feel really shit. So how can diet be the cause? So for a long time, I didn't bother with diet again, and that
yeah,
was a mistake because I was comparing myself to people that hadn't crashed and hadn't
yeah.
all the impacts that I'd had. But is there anything else you can think of you want to talk about at all?
Yeah, I'm thinking of like this is a maybe because it could be like really really stressful, but like I'm thinking of maybe like going abroad um, to try and implement this where somewhere where there's like a better climate.
Mm.
This is only maybe because it could be like really stressful. But I have like family in California, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there, like the climate's way more obviously sunny,
Mm-hmm.
and also like the stuff I want to experiment with as well, like the cannabis oil stuff. Like,
If I was ill again, I would actually experiment with cannabis oil just because of
yeah,
how much people go on about it, and I
yeah,
think it's always like you know, I don't think it's going to really harm you, you know, the cannabis oils, but um, I didn't need it to recover, but it may be something you want to experiment with. I think, from what I've heard, it could be beneficial.
yeah. I know it's
It's
kind of
expensive.
difficult. Is it
Yeah, it's expensive. I've looked
really?
into it. I wanted to try
Yeah,
it anyway, just
yeah.
people go on about it, but it was like for a syringe full, it was like 40, 50 quid or something.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I think maybe in California, I think it might be cheaper than that
Oh, yeah.
because of the whole weed pharmacy things,
Mhm.
and as well, it'll be a lot more pure
Yeah.
um, than like typical like weed you'd buy here on the streets.
Oh, no, you wouldn't dare to
It's
buy that shit on the street.
yeah. You don't know what's in that.
I, I, I found a legitimate organization that sells it in the UK, and that I would trust that, but off the streets, no way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not even weed.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
believe that's even weed.
yeah. I know. It's. I mean, I didn't even know you could get the stuff in the UK that's
Mm,
legit. I thought it was completely illegal.
mm.
So I'll have to try that out. But I did notice it. Like I did try a couple of months ago, and it did calm my adrenals right down,
Mm.
and it got me in much of a like less tense state of mind.
Yeah, what I will say is that some people will take that and then see that it's beneficial and then just continually do
Run
that
away with
without
it.
making other changes.
Yeah, yeah,
And if what I don't agree with is these people that say that I I kept going to pizza and eating pizzas and drinking alcohol, and I did cannabis oil and cured cancer. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't agree. I think that you need to change everything, but don't dismiss
yeah,
things like that. I think everything has
yeah,
its place like that.
yeah, yeah. I
But and
agree.
the
Yeah.
other thing you said about the temperature thing is that I notice it depends on the person. Some people say they prefer colder climates and more regular climates, and some prefer the more hotter climates. Like, I will say that I personally prefer the hot climates.
Mm.
Like, I feel like the sun and the vitamin D that we don't really get here was beneficial,
Yeah,
especially this summer's been shit. We got what, a few weeks, if that.
yeah. It's a few days of sunshine here and there.
But I will say
Um,
this is that the California thing is that it would you wouldn't have that pressure of having to go out with friends and stuff. I think if I
that's that's the main thing.
It would be a
Yeah,
getaway. It would be like that
right.
would be your excuse to be like, oh, sorry, I'm in California. I would love to come to every event you invite me to, but I'm in
Yeah,
California now.
that's it. That's it. I mean, it's kind of like if I went there, I'll be like, okay, this is the place I am for health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas where I am now, it's hard to because there's so many distractions. Yeah,
I do say this to people. Like, for example, there's a retreat in Costa Rica, and if I had the money when I was ill, I would have loved to have gone there.
Costa Rica. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard.
there's some amazing retreats out there for people getting their health back, and it can be expensive, but I think it was decent prices. This one place I found, and I would personally recommend people experiment with that if they had the money. I would
Yeah,
love to have done that.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how much time you've got, but like that's basically on the lines I was going. Was there something called like location efficiency or something like that? It's something I researched a little bit, and people found that within me would go to like Costa Rica's a big one actually, and the symptoms would improve.
Yeah,
A guy and
environmental toxins, everything.
right, yeah, a guy I know went to oh a Spanish island, Canary Islands, I think, southern in the south, and the climate there is like the most consistently decent climate in the world apparently. And he doesn't have any symptoms while he's there.
Mm-hmm.
But then he came back to the UK and he got all the symptoms back.
Yeah.
So he's probably, I don't know, but he's probably like living there and still eating shit.
Mm.
But the climate alone is just like taking him out of the major symptoms. But yeah, there's a few locations, and obviously because of my other ailments like colitis and stuff and my colon, it is trickier. Like for example, people have said Thailand, but the food there is very like oily, greasy, and it's not. It's going to be hard to stick to your diet there, you know. But I'm pretty much considering anyway at this point.
Yeah, I would, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and the way it's going right now isn't enjoyable.
Yeah.
You can't do what you want to do, and that isn't going to change in the foreseeable future until you do this thing and finally knuckle down to do it.
Yeah.
So anything was possible.
Yeah.
You know, I would have fucking loved to have moved country when I was ill.
Yeah. It's just finances, isn't it? It's
yeah, exactly. And
it's
a shame because you know most of the people in this chat, they're so ill that they probably can't even work anyway. So that is just not even a consideration, and they're the people that need to go to these retreats. So
yeah,
it's a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you got ME and you're like a multimillionaire or a billionaire's son,
Oh yeah,
you could go to the best health retreats in the world, just kick your back, and it would take you a good few years of eventually realizing, okay, no more party lifestyle. But like, once you did realize, you would have so much. Like, once you've got the finances, you can access the best healthcare in the world. So you know, that's something I'll have to think about. But I would guess that other than the retreat itself, like Costa Rica would be like probably quite a cheap place to go. I speak Spanish, which should be cool as well. But yeah, I mean, I speak basic Spanish, but it's better than going to Thailand and
yeah, of course.
you know?
I think I saw it fine. Like you could get to Costa Rica and stay for a month for under $2,000,
Yeah.
which isn't that bad. But what someone in the comment section just said, when I was in CFS, I couldn't stand, never mind considering moving countries. I will say this, like, when I used to imagine myself moving countries, I just used to imagine clicking my fingers and being there.
Yeah.
Not all the stress involved of actually getting there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's something you want to avoid thinking about, because otherwise you just won't do it. And a lot of people will say that, like, negative about it, like, oh, you know, like, I can't make it there. Like, the thing is, like, I'm probably a very severe case of CFS, but I give off this vibe of like, oh, I'm okay, you know, which is very hard for people to understand.
Exactly, that's why
Yeah.
people never understand is that,
Yeah.
you know, even
Yeah.
though I looked like shit when I was ill, and I have the pictures showing how awful I looked, and I was struggling to get up the stairs and just out of breath, constantly scared of everything, not leaving the house. People still didn't get it.
No, it's still, because what? Yeah.
Unless you are on death's door, they will never understand.
No, and that's why it's a horrific illness, because, like, quite dark to say this, but like, if you had like cancer that was terminal, and you had a few friends, they'd be gathering around you and like singing your praises. You're so strong, man. Like, oh my God, you're an inspiration. With CFS, like, nobody really gives a fuck.
No, nobody give a shit.
Yeah.
Fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, CFS, all these things people don't give a shit about.
Yeah, the kind of attitude is like, one of my friends once said to me, why don't you just get on with it?
That is just so frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. But like mine, I'll tell you how severe mine is. Like, pretty much most of the day I have to be resting.
Yeah. I think that for most
Yeah.
people in this chat, like, I get
It's the same. Yeah.
It's the same. It's like every minute of every day is you'd rather be resting.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
There's never a time when you're like, well, I got energy to spend. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's some people a lot worse than me. You know, people who can literally not leave the bed.
Yeah.
So for them to go to another country, that would be a big deal. I'm not going to lie about that, but for me to go to another country with my, you know, colitis and that's huge. It's like, that is going to probably, it could possibly be the most stressful experience of my life. You know, it's one thing going to France and Spain, which is a 2-hour time difference. But it's another thing going to South America, which is, what is it, -7 hours, like Costa Rica or something.
It's like 12 and a half hours.
Yeah, but the time zone is it like -7? California's -8.
Yeah, I think if you were gonna contemplate that, I think you would literally expect to complete and utter relapse. Like,
Yeah.
worse symptoms.
Yeah.
I think it would be about weighing up your options, whether you go through that relapse to have a possible better chance at getting over it, even if it takes longer by doing it, or waiting in the UK, not fully escaping all those issues you're having at home and making everything difficult. It's a difficult choice, but it's definitely a valid one.
Yeah. I mean, I know people who are worse than me that made it over there, and they said they had a crash for like 4 weeks on arrival, but after that they gradually made progress. And I am aware as well that, like, it's also difficult for other people. I don't have any kids. For example, I don't have, obviously, a job because I can barely stay alive, let alone.
Exactly. I don't think anyone in here is expecting anyone, because they know what it feels like. You cannot work. Like,
no.
Even more, you might as well kill yourself when that's how bad it is.
Yeah, it's like even an hour of like computer work, which is only mental.
Yeah.
And afterwards, like, you start to feel your adrenals are completely zapped. Like, it's
not an option. It just isn't an option. And
that
is it.
Yeah. It's tough. But I mean, so yeah, the only thing holding me back really is like financially. So we'll see about that one. But I do think that if I did go there, it would be 1,000 times more powerful than doing it here.
Yeah.
Provided I manage to stick to the diet.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you're just away from all that negative anchors.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. that's definitely going to help you, but also the realization that it is a choice as well. In the
Mm.
moment, everything you put in your mouth is a choice. So if you know something's going to go against your recovery, that is your choice in that moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how I looked at it. I got into the point where I'd be like, right, it's my choice today to either work towards recovery in the hopes that I get where I want to be in a year or two, or I fuck it up and just make it even longer than it's already been. And then
Yeah.
I just go through scenarios like, whoa, I'm imagining my 30th birthday stuck in my room, even iller than I was before. And I'd be like, well, I can't let that happen. I can't let
Yeah.
that happen to my future self. I just can't.
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I'm gonna look at it now. I was worried because I'm like 32 now. So I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to spend like 5 years trying to recover, and then like I'm in late 30s
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't made any progress. But it got to the point where I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as well, like in terms of CFS and recovering, a very basic way to look at it would be just listen to your body and don't listen to your mind, because like your mind rarely has your best interests at heart. It's like usually, oh, give me stimulation, I
Yeah.
want entertaining, and your body's like, no, let's go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But your mind is so much more powerful. I find it's like that's
Yeah.
the loud voice, and your
Yeah.
body's like a little whisper.
Mm-hmm. I'm
um,
exactly. I tell people when they're like, when do I consider doing exercise? I say, listen to your body, never your mind. Your mind's going, you're being lazy. You need to do something to recover. You're not doing enough, or you need to start moving. How can you expect to get to where you want to be if you're not even moving? And but
mm,
then they listen to their body and they're fatigued, running on adrenaline, or achy pains, and that tells you no.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I totally, that's exactly what I lived by, is listening to your body every time over your mind.
yeah. Do you notice as well that like around about midnight, 11 o'clock to midnight,
Second wave
your
of energy.
your mind will go into like hyper mode.
Yeah.
With CFS, it'll be like, oh, let's watch a movie, or let's
Yeah.
go out. Like,
When you get to 12:01 in the morning, I always, they call it a second wave, where you get a second rush of wanting to stay awake or not feeling tired anymore.
mm,
You actually feel more awake than when you wake up in the morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like the best I feel all day, and I know I'm doing this wrong at the moment, but it's like probably between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. And like I will feel somewhere close to normal.
Yeah.
Um,
And that is just
yeah,
running on fumes.
that's right. Yeah,
And that's
and
when the damage is happening. And
that's when
that's
the damage is happening. Yeah,
mhm,
I think if I could turn that to actually being asleep during the second wave,
mm,
that energy that's going into like kind of keeping me alive
yeah,
can go into actually healing my body.
exactly, yeah. And
Because
sleep is number one. Like,
yeah,
that's what I've learned. Even now in my day-to-day life, if I want to feel my best tomorrow, I'm gonna go to bed before 10. I'm gonna
yeah,
start finding 9, half 9. And
yeah,
I could tomorrow, I could have a can of Coke, and I don't know, eat some fried junk food or something like that. Let's
mm,
say. And if I'm going to bed early and having a good night's sleep, I will still feel much better than I would the opposite way around. Getting
yeah,
very clean but shit sleep.
yeah. Yes, sleep is so important, and the frustrating thing is like when I look back and at the mistakes I used to make, especially when I started getting early onset of CFS, and you'd wake up after 7 hours and like be very like full of adrenaline. I just keep myself and I think, why did you just not go to bed? Like,
Yeah.
because now I'll never have the opportunity again to just like have a perfect night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a negative thing to say, but like now my colon's been removed, like my body will literally never be the same again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something like people take for granted. The healthy people,
Yeah.
they go to bed early, they wake up after 9-10 hours, and they feel just right as rain, full of energy. And what I would give
That is the best feeling in the
to
world.
feel like that again,
Mm.
it's
You,
just
You just have to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Even if it takes you a year or two to get to that feeling, it will be worth it. And you'll never like get to the point where you are now for the rest of your life, because you know what it takes, you know what's good for you, you know what you have to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'll continue planning it now, and then next month, like, mid next month, when the weather starts to go a bit, well, summer's over basically, I'll start seriously implementing everything. One thing I have got, because I know it's like super boring, is I've got lots of literature, like audiobooks and physical textbooks. But I wanted to ask, like, other than that, is there anything you can do that's like somewhat enjoyable? Or is it basically just meditation?
I will say this, it's like, don't many people, like, I was talking to a guy called Jonas, I uploaded a video, and he was at the point where he was having structured meditation throughout the day, and he was getting very like anal about it, and I would say that's kind of can be counterproductive.
Counterproductive. Mm.
Just go off how you feel. This is
Yeah.
how I say it. I say, like, kind of live like an animal in the moment. What you feel would be beneficial to you. Now, your brain. This is I'm talking about your body here, because your mind's gonna be like, play video games. That'll make me feel good in a moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I hate to say it, and it's not popular advice, but you have to kind of get used to boredom.
Yeah.
I tell people, imagine you were born 100 years ago, or any other time in history when technology didn't exist.
Yeah.
What would you have done? You would have
Yeah.
rested right at the fucking beginning before you got it. It was this bad.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
I say this, my dad, he had
Yeah.
glandular fever, bedbound for a year. He rested the whole time. Technology wasn't big. Telly maybe. And after that year, he got his life back, went on with his life. Nowadays, people get stuck in shit food, shit sleep, technology, and they prolong the problem, and it gets worse.
Yeah.
And I think people have this, they find it very confusing, the idea of just being bored and just being in the moment and not doing anything. It's very
Yeah.
hard to kind of accept that.
That's right. It is like I purposefully went for like 2-minute walk today, and fortunately near my current flat there's like a little park area where you can sit down somewhat and just kind of be in the moment. But for a while, like, I'd go without my phone, I would feel so awkward because I wasn't fidgeting with my phone and like constantly.
Yeah.
Not only like awkward, but like, oh, people looking at me thinking, why is this weirdo sat down?
Yeah.
And they're not, like you said, like even 50 years ago, people would just go and chill, watch the world go by without an iPad, and everything was fine.
I didn't have one of these when I was recovering, and I
Yeah.
swear it was the best. Like, it wasn't even a conscious decision. I just didn't have a need for a phone, and that was a good thing, because now I will say this, I'm addicted to phones, and I'm trying to get away from it as much as possible.
They're super addictive. It's insanely addictive.
It is really addictive. Constantly having to do something to stimulate yourself.
It's like that's one thing I think I'll have to get rid of is my phone and my laptop. So you probably won't hear from me much. But even when I don't have a laptop or a phone in the house or a TV, it's so strange what happens. Your mind goes, oh, fuck, I guess we'll just sleep then.
Exactly. Like,
even just not being in the house.
Yeah.
Not using it, just not having it in the house. And when you try and sleep, your brain can't find an excuse to not sleep.
Yeah.
It's
these small things make a huge difference. I try and get that through to people, and they're like, surely we need a detox protocol where we extract metals from a elixir while hanging upside down or something. Like, people think you need something extreme to like counterbalance the extreme fatigue they're feeling.
It's not true.
I used to like chug oil and Epsom salts and then wake up to shit out supposed stones, and I'd be like, yes, Yeah, that's doing it.
No.
It wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
It's making it worse.
Yeah, completely. I mean, go on.
I was going to say this.
Yeah.
So occasionally when I felt like I was going to crack, I'd watch things that were light-hearted, like Family Guy or something like comedy. I would watch uh, what was it, Carl Pilkington or The Office or something like that to make myself laugh, and that would be something I'd watch like an hour or something a day if I felt like I really needed it. I was
Yeah.
poor, and I would see
Yeah.
it like this. I would see it like not as a failure, but this is way better than I was a month ago, or something like
Yeah.
that. Like I've drastically cut down my technology
Yeah.
use. Um,
Yeah.
so I'd do that, and the main thing I would do as well was audiobooks. And I had like an old iPod that didn't have like the colorful screen, and I would have audiobooks on that. So I'd
Right.
listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I'd read when I could. I couldn't really read in the beginning because my had so much brain fog and fatigue. Like even reading, like after a page, I was done. So
yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
preferred audiobooks.
Yeah. Yeah. Audiobooks are great. What I probably will do is get some like eBay secondhand iPod and just have no Wi-Fi functionality. Sorry,
Yeah.
no WhatsApp
No
functionality.
browser, no
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And just probably like give my phone to my parents or some shit and just, because otherwise it's harder to avoid using it if it's in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And just get back to like super basic level of living, super basic.
And you'll be surprised at the
The
the effects
results.
that will have on you, your body, your mind, everything. And
Yeah.
I deleted all my social media apart from YouTube, just simply because it helps people. And the more I get away from social media and technology, the better I feel.
Yeah. I think like social media, like there was a study done, and I think like it's the number one cause of low self-esteem in
Yeah,
teenagers.
yeah, I'm not surprised. I remember I used to look at like for example, oh, what was it? Basically a video on YouTube that went viral, and it was a guy that had a GoPro and he would do all the things he does in his life, like skydiving, then he would be swimming, then he'd be with his girlfriend, and basically all the comments were like, I want to kill myself now. Like because it pretty much exaggerates this guy's life to the point where it's just unbelievable. So much fun constantly. Your life shit. You're a
Yeah.
piece of shit. You look
Yeah.
like shit. Like all the things you can go through, and
Yeah.
don't realize that kind of can stay in your subconscious as well. Like it can make you feel bad without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And you focus more on outside of yourself rather than inside yourself. All these, it's just so many things that have an impact on us and our health.
Yeah. I mean, like people these days, they never try to fix things from within. It's all it's a stimulation-based society, and most people's happiness, like the typical young person these days, their happiness is based on outside stimulation.
Yeah.
So, for example, there might be somebody with a Facebook that's got 5,000 friends, constantly getting likes and validation.
Yeah.
If you took that away from them, they would probably like immediately start to feel depressed.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh shit.
I remember I start, and I feel like I kind of get this still with YouTube. Like I check every day to like see my views and comments and everything, and it is like I do feel like I'm still getting that kind of hit. Like if I see like the red button to show you've got a comment, that gives my brain like a little ding.
Dopamine. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure it does.
Yeah. I think the way around that is to schedule when you watch it.
Yeah. That's what I'm planning to do with these live streams.
Yeah.
I get on, people give me the question, I answer it, I come off, done.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking more and more of doing that rather than just replying to the comments. Like I do try and reply to them. Like I do. Okay, I'm lying. I reply to like literally every comment, and I'm thinking more and more of just doing the live streams to just have a section of each week where I do what.
Yeah. Yeah. or even just like an hour from 8 till 9 at night.
Yeah.
And after that hour, even if you're in the middle of it, you have to just come away.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like your brain just gets like clung to this constant alert system of like, oh, somebody sent you a message. Somebody sent you a message. I mean, if you think back to caveman times, they'd probably get like one message a day. You know, like go find food.
Yeah.
It's just a constant onslaught, and especially when you start to be successful on that kind of thing, it's just never-ending bombardment of notifications, and there's no end to it. You know, it's just
exactly.
It can literally go on forever, and you could spend 10 years of your life looking at notifications instead of actually.
And then
Yeah.
once you come away with it, you realize, what have I done with my life? Like,
Yeah.
I've actually lived.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you got, is there anything else you want to ask or anything before I close up? If you can't think of anything, you can just leave it as a Skype message and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think the only thing I would say is you said to watch comedy. Like, it's the same comedies that obviously you should watch, because there's like some that are probably quite stimulating. You know what I mean? Like, if you imagine Adam Sandler type stuff, it's probably quite.
Yeah, I think you'll have to go off how you react to it.
Yeah.
Like Carl Pilkington, he's very slow and
Yeah.
I used to just find him funny, and it used to make me laugh. And back then, when I was very isolated, it used to help me. But yeah, I guess you just go off how you react. But
yeah,
if you have any questions, just ask me in Skype, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, cool, man.
All right, thanks, Dan.
All right, catch you later.
See you later. Right, guys, I'll close up the stream now, but hope you got something out of it at all. Maybe I'll next time I'll add somebody in again and just get different stories, so you see you can relate to different people and their stories. But yeah, see you later, guys.